Chapter 1, Section 2 is about order of operations. So how I would like to start this section is I want to give you a chance to just try to do this first example by yourself. So pause the video here, walk through or work through this problem however you feel is correct. And then when you're ready to see what the answer should have been, I want you to continue watching, and I'm going to explain to you how you know how to do this after you've given this a try. So regardless of what answer you got when you did this, I just wanted you to try to see if you kind of remembered anything about order of operations, to kind of see if you got it right or if you got it wrong. Now, when we do a problem like this with a whole bunch of people, if I were to ask a bunch of people to do this problem, however way they felt was right, you would get a lot of different answers because some people would want to just go right down the line from left to right and do the problem, while some would know what the order of operations are, and so they would follow a very specific set of rules and they would get a different answer. So we have to be able to have some consistency so that when we're doing problems like this, we all are doing them the same way. So when you are doing a problem like this, the first thing you want to look for are any grouping symbols, parentheses. I don't see any of those in the problem, so then I move on to the second thing, which would be exponents. And I see that piece that says 3 squared. So I'm going to evaluate that first and make that become a 9. So now I have 8 minus 4 times 9 plus 6 divided by 2 plus 1. The next thing you want to do is look for any multiplication or division. And I see multiplication here, and I see division there. So this would become 8 minus 36 plus 3 plus 1. Then you look for addition and subtraction. So the rest of this is subtraction and addition problems. So I'm just going to go down the line left to right. So 8 minus 36 would be negative 28. Then I'm going to add 3, and I'm going to add 1 to that. And I would get negative 24 for my answer. So when you did that problem, if you got negative 24, that means that you did it right. You knew how to use order of operations. If you didn't get negative 24, that's why order of operations is important, because we want to be able to have a very specific way of working through these problems so that everyone's doing them the same way. So I kind of talked through those rules already as I was going through that example, but these are your rules for order of operations, and a way that you may have learned this in the past is known as PEMDAS, or you might have been taught to say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, in order for you to remember what PEMDAS stood for, or to kind of remember the order of the letters. So I kind of went over this when I was walking through that example, but P stands for parentheses, but that also starts getting into any type of grouping symbols, or if you have a really big division bar like a fraction. So that could be any type of parentheses, any type of brackets that you might see inside of a problem. E stands for exponents. So it would be something raised to a power, anything like that. Then M and D would be multiplication and division. And they're grouped together because you evaluate the problems by reading them from left to right. So whatever comes first is what you do. So if division happens to come before multiplication, you do the division first. The same rule applies for addition and subtraction. Read the problems from left to right. Whatever comes first or whatever is written first, you evaluate that, and then you just work your way down the line until you're all done. So let's take a look at this next example here. So it's the same numbers as it was in that very first example, but they've thrown in some parentheses. So we have to evaluate all of those first. So this first group, we've got 8 minus 4, which would just be 4, times. In the second set, I have 3 squared and then plus 6. I have to take care of those exponents first. So 3 squared would become a 9, and then we have plus 6. And then divided by 2 plus 1 would be a 3. I still have parentheses, so I need to do that 9 plus 6 next. So that becomes 4 times 15 divided by 3. Then we've taken care of parentheses, we've taken care of exponents. Now we go on to multiplication and division, and you read the problem left to right. So 4 times 15 comes first, so that would be 60. And then you have divided by 3, and so that would become 20 as your final answer. So go ahead and do the next two practice problems here. So pause the video, work these out, and then continue watching when you're ready to see what the answer should have been. So for the first practice problem, the first thing you need to do is the exponent inside the parentheses. That becomes an 8 minus 6. Everything else I am dropping down here. I still have parentheses, so I need to subtract there. Now you'll notice that I still put parentheses around the 2 from doing 8 minus 6, and the reason why I did that is just to let myself know that I am going to have to multiply 3 times that 2. I don't want to just drop a 2 because then it might look like I wrote the number 32 down, and that would give me the wrong answer because I'm just making up a new number, and I don't want to do that. Now you're going to need to multiply. Then you do the division here at the end. And you just do a big addition problem there, and you get 12. Now for that next practice problem, it's a really big fraction here, so you need to simplify the top and simplify the bottom and before you take care of that division bar. So on the top, you have 3 to the third, which would be 27 minus 5, all over 3 plus 8. So 27 minus 5 would be a 22, and 3 plus 8 would be 11. So 22 divided by 11 would be 2. Now, something else that we can do with order of operations is if they give you an expression that has letters in it, you can take those values that they give you at the end here and plug those in for the x, the y, and the z first, and then still follow your order of operations to evaluate what the answer should be. So for this first one, I need to plug in my x, my y, and my z value. So I have 3, and then in for x, I'm going to put 2, so that's 2 squared, minus 4, in for y, I'm going to put 5, and in for z, I'm going to put 4. So plug in the values first. Now follow your order of operations. So I have an exponent here, so 3 times 4 now, and then I'm going to bring everything else down. Got a lot of multiplication. All those parentheses there are just symbolizing that you're multiplying the number out front times the number on the inside. So this says 12 minus 20 plus 28. Then you're going to subtract 12 minus 20 first, which would be negative 8, and then add 28 to that, and you would be left with 20. Underneath that is a practice problem. You can see that it looks just a little bit different than that one that we just did. So pause the video here, try to do this problem, and then come back to watch what the answer should have been. So step 1 is to, again, replace all of those letters with the values that they gave us in the problem. Now start evaluating. So we have 3 times 4 minus, inside here I'm going to multiply 20 and 28 there. Now, a lot of times what I see students do is they will have dropped the parentheses around the 20 plus 28. You can't do that because you have to multiply first, but then you also have this addition problem in there. So you want to make sure that you keep the parentheses because you haven't completely taken care of all the operations yet. So make sure that you added those numbers first before you did anything else with it. So this would have been 12 minus, if I add those together, that would be a 48. So 12 minus 48 would simplify to negative 36. All right, the last couple of problems we have here are story problems. So we're going to read through the situation here, write out an equation to show what's happening, and then figure out how much it would cost. So a family went to the movies over Christmas vacation. It cost $8 for each of the parents and $5 for the 3 children. We want to write an equation to represent the situation, and then how much did it cost for them to go to the movies. So if you wanted a really general equation, all the parents, so like the adults that are going, cost $8. So fast way to figure out, or a fast way to write what that would look like if you had to do a lot of parents that were going, would be to take 8 times the number of parents that you have. So I'm just going to call that P for parents. Then you would add on the amount for children. Now children cost $5, so I would do 5C for children. Now, that would be my general equation. For this problem, I do know that it says $8 for each of the parents. I'm just going to make an assumption here and assume that that means 2 parents. And $5 each for the 3 children. So 5 times 3 for the children there. So this would be 16 plus 15. Which would simplify to 31, and that would be dollars. So it cost them $31 to go to the movies. So again, I want you guys to try a problem on your own here. So pause the video, try this problem, and then watch for what it should have been. So to set up your equation, I would have written it like this: $1.50 times a letter for the pop, so I'm going to use P, plus $1 times, I'm going to use B for bags of popcorn, or you could have used C for popcorn if you wanted to. Any letter is fine, other than P, because you already used P for pop. Then plus 4, use W for walking taco. So now to figure out how much they spent, I take $1.50 times 4 for the pops, $1 times 3 for the 3 bags of popcorn, and they only bought 1 walking taco, so I'm going to take 4 times 1. So this would be 6 plus 3 plus 4, which would be a total of $13.